Hello, BookTube. I recently did a video that bounced all over the place and wandered as it willed, all about subjects that were on my mind or whatnot. A video of a type that I used to make on this channel. I dubbed them Irish Stew videos, where I just would talk about a selection of things that were on my mind, which seems like an egregious waste of your time and a huge imposition on your goodwill. But a number of people have said that they enjoy those videos, including that last one that I wasn't even sure was an Irish Stew video. And it's Labor Day here in the United States. It is a severe federal holiday. We have all sorts of holidays in this country. Some are on paper only. Others are observed in the breach. They are honored in the breach. Some states observe them more than others. And life goes on pretty much as usual. And then there are a few that are hard and fast federal holidays where nothing happens, and Labor Day is one of those days. Because in the back of all of our minds, even though it's not accurate, in the back of all of our minds we're thinking that Labor Day means that we're pulling in the tarps, we're taking in the porch plants, we're shuttering the lake house, we're closing up the beach property, and we're all headed back trudgingly like schoolboys to their task to the real world. Now, that hasn't been true. If it ever was true, that hasn't been true in centuries. So the world goes on all summer long. People work all summer long. They have their normal routines of life all summer long. But nevertheless, that lodges in the mind that there's a transition going on here. And so for all of those reasons and a bunch of others, nothing happens on Labor Day. No mail, no free books, no nothing like that, which made me all the more want to maybe do an Irish Stew video. So I don't know what this will be. I just like talking to you. That's all. So I've got a few things on my mind that we can just go through, and we'll see what ends up be. If it doesn't look like it is going to live viably outside a pail in the barn, I don't have to post it, right? So first and most obvious thing is the news, and the most obvious news story is, of course, the fact that Donald Trump is endlessly implicated in the Epstein tapes, which means that he is certainly a serial child rape. Oh, wait, no, that's not the foremost story. No, because the evil fascists in the Trump regime realized that story is going to kill us. There's endless documentation. There are witnesses. That story is going to kill us. So we have to change the story. We have to make it something else. And all we have to do, we've got this shiny object right here, and the stupid U.S. press corps is going for it, hook, line, and sinker. Well, we don't want them to go for that. So instead of being honest, most transparent administration in American history, instead of being honest, we'll give them a different shiny object, and they will all pivot. It's not like any of them will pay attention. They'll all pivot. So the Trump regime has done that. Now the number one story in the country is Trump's health, or lack thereof. Hasn't been seen, hasn't talked to anybody. Rather damningly, it's so embarrassing to be an American. Rather damningly, the way that people know that the tweets that have gone up in the time that he's been missing aren't written by him is that they're spelled correctly. It is so embarrassing. In addition to being infuriating and mortifying, it's also deadly embarrassing that that's how people know that he didn't write them, that the President of the United States didn't write his own messages because they're spelled correctly. There's been endless speculation, of course, about his state of health. Did he have a major, health thing? Did he die? That was trending on Twitter for a good 12 hours, that he was dead, that he died. And the Trump regime did what they always do. They lied. It's absolutely, in addition to all the moral elements, it's just absolutely incredible how much they lie. It's literally all the time about literally everything. They started floating old film footage. As if we don't live in the era of metadata, as if someone wouldn't immediately know that. A picture did surface of Donald Trump that looks like it's legitimate, but he looks like death warmed over. He is clearly, we have no idea the health status of the President of the United States. Regardless of what it turns out to be, that much we at least know from this story, is that we have no idea the health status of the President of the United States. We know that he's not hale and healthy, or he would get on camera and say that. So we know that's not true. I myself think that the only reason he wouldn't get on camera and say that he is as healthy as could be and it's a Democrat hoax is if there's something visual, something he can't hide. He can hide his swollen ankles behind a desk. He can hide or try to hide a bruise on his hand with makeup. But if it's something he can't hide, then he won't go on camera. Like, for instance, well, think of anything. Think of something minor and vain. If you're a booktuber and you make videos, let's say, every day, and you accidentally chip chip your front tooth, so you look like Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel, and you're making a whistling sound when you talk, and you just, obviously, you can't get your dentist immediately, so you might not make videos for that reason alone, because you can't hide it. Because it's embarrassing and you can't hide it. Well, what if we were to scale that up for something more serious? I would think that would be the only reason why this guy wouldn't get on camera and lie about his health, is if it was something visual that he couldn't hide. Like half of his face drooping. Something like that. We don't know, because the most transparent administration in U.S. history has done nothing but lie about this all along. So we are left with this stupid Kremlinology that I hate so much. That it's happening in America, I hate it so much. And before you go on in the comments field, yes, I know, the Biden administration was also lying about his daily health. But not as bad. Not like this. Not floating old footage. Anyway, that's the number one story. If we go online, the number one story would be, in my circles anyway, in my feed, would probably still be the fact that that Wired broke a story that a lot of leading so-called left-wing Democratic influencers have been taking huge amounts of dark money. And although they have all been vociferously denying this element of it, they're taking that money in exchange for not only towing the party line, but leaving out the things that the dark money doesn't want you to talk about. Foremost being Israel's genocide in Gaza, which leads you to wonder where that money is coming from. The fallout from that is still going on. I don't know what kind of practical fallout it is, because I don't know whether David Pakman or Brian Tyler Cohen are actually losing viewers. That would be the way that this would, in this debased modern world, that would be the way we would measure whether or not it's true, is if they're losing viewers. And I don't know that that's happening. I haven't checked. There are websites you can check, and I haven't checked. But that is still all over online. Another element that's been on a lot of YouTube feeds that I've been watching, mainly because the algorithm knows I'm interested, perennially interested, are a whole bunch of videos on people trying to make their iPad their only device. Trying to switch from a laptop computer to an iPad completely. And I have, it's not within reach, I have a larger iPad. I have the smaller one. There's handy dandy stuff. But I have a larger iPad, and I also have the keyboard case, the magnetic keyboard case, the magic keyboard. You magnetically lock the iPad on there, and you've got the keyboard, and Bob's your uncle. The camera on the iPad, that iPad over there, is better than any other camera that I have. I can do a lot of reading on the iPad, end up doing a lot of reading on the iPad before I remember to switch to my Kindle. I do all the viewing in the world on the iPad. So what if you could make it your one device? What if you could replace your MacBook? Every time that I have tried to do that, something has failed. Something has not been right. Usually, it has been the slowness that it uses to upload videos. So that I imagine, well, if I made one video a day, then it would probably not be an imposition. I would make the video first thing and upload it in the course of a day. But if you make a lot of videos in a day, I think that is still the impediment. Of course, there's debuting in September, there's OS 26 that I have seen a million videos about how it utterly transforms the experience of working on an iPad. Maybe that will make a difference. I won't know in September when it debuts, because I won't have it uploaded on my iPad until October. So I'll just have to wait. But anyway, what else can we talk about? So those are the online thing. Well, the other online thing, of course, would be BookTube events. It's the 1st of September. So there are a ton of BookTube events that are debuting today. And that's a lot of fun. That is a lot of fun. That I am enjoying that. Now that I have made the right mental adjustment, that I don't have to be embraced by the events in order to embrace the events. Now that I've finally made that breakthrough, it's a huge amount of fun. So there are a whole bunch of events. There's including one that I did not mention in my roundup, Tudor Timber, where a whole bunch of uber nerds are doing Tudor-themed September. Oh my God, count me in for that. So that's BookTube. And then when there's reading, I've got a huge that I'm reading now. A Slowly Dying Cause by Elizabeth George, the latest Inspector Lynley novel. Great big chunk of a thing. I'm really, really enjoying it. I say in the present tense as a gerund that I'm enjoying it. I read the advance copy, and I really enjoyed it. And now I'm getting ready to hunker down with the hardcover and read it again. But that's a book. We could talk about BookTube. Talked about BookTube events. We could talk about BookTube and YouTube. BookTube and YouTube videos like. Well, for broader YouTube, that has nothing to do with books, I watch all the Bigfoot channels. I watch all of them. And there's one called A Cabin in the Woods. And he's very sincere. He's very intelligent, very comprehensive. And in one of his latest videos, I'll leave a link to it. In one of his latest videos, he goes through some famous Bigfoot footage. Not the famous Patterson-Gimlin film, but some others. The first one that he goes through, I would have argued with him in person, don't lead off with this. He leads off with the dullest one. And we all know that nobody watches more than 20 seconds of any video ever. So, anyway, he leads off with FLIR footage or heat footage in the dark, and it's not very convincing. But then he moves on to two other things. One shot in Russia. I guess a father and son who are out in the woods. They've heard reports of Alma activity in the area, and they're filming. They hear something in the woods with them, and they catch something that looks like a giant ape in the distance. And the host of Cabin in the Woods, analyzes the daylights out of that footage to show us he's a believer. He wants to see what it is that we're looking at here. There are a couple of problems with that footage. Big time, he ignores one completely. He says, well, they're out in the middle of the woods. How would they just happen to come across a hoaxer? Well, if they brought the hoaxer with them, then they would come across a hoaxer. You should watch the video for yourself and see. It definitely doesn't look like normal Bigfoot footage. It looks more convincing. But there are two big buts that I think of. In addition to the fact that we don't have the original footage, so we can't maximize the pixels or look at it in any detail. And that seems suspicious in this day and age. It's only 5 years old. You would have that footage, or 10 years old. But the two main things that are my objections to this. Number one, this thing, whatever it is at the exact same distance they always are. They're never any more a million miles away, but they're never any closer than that. This thing knew they were in the woods. Why is it the exact same distance? It is just far enough so that you can't quite make it out. That doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. That seems like a carefully calculated thing. And the other thing is something that the host of Cabin in the Woods actually points it out at the end of his examination of that footage. He points out that if you pause at a certain point in the footage when the creature has sort of already vanished, you see a bear closer to the cameraman than the Alma just sitting there. Now, I think that the host of Cabin in the Woods is wrong. I think it's a dog. I think it's clearly a dog, because no matter how dedicated you are to getting film footage of a Yeti, and no matter how dedicated you are to maybe hoaxing people, no one is dedicated enough to ignore a bear 15 feet away from them. No one is. I don't care how Russian you are. I think it's a dog. But if it's not a dog, then it shows the thing is fake. That is totally inhuman behavior. No one would do that. And then the final clip that he shows is the Paul Freeman footage. You probably aren't familiar with it. You're probably a normal person, so you don't study Bigfoot. So probably the only thing Bigfoot that you know is the Patterson-Gimlin film. The Freeman footage has been studied also 1,000 times. It shows a big hulking creature slowly walk away. And to me, there are two main objections to that. Number one is Freeman himself, who was a dyed-in-the-wool Sasquatch fan. It's obvious that he might have wanted to maybe go viral with a video. And two is that, much like in the Patterson-Gimlin film, the creature does not act like a creature would act. It clearly knows it's being filmed. It sees someone 100 yards away filming it. It wouldn't act that way. It wouldn't act the way it does, just casually walk off into the woods. Neither a wild animal nor a sentient hominid would act that way. An actor would act that way if it wanted to give you chills up your spine. So Cabin in the Woods, you can watch that. Or if we're talking about a little bit closer to BookTube, we could talk about William Gallagher at 58 Keys. I've mentioned his channel many times before. I love his channel. It's all about writing. And in this latest episode, he talks about what you do when you've got an ongoing work the impulse of all writers, and actually a piece of advice that I've heard from lots of writers, is that the first thing you do when you start your day's writing is to go over the stuff you wrote yesterday. And in this video, William says, no, don't do that. We don't get the facts wrong or anything. Keep everything consistent, but don't go over your previous writing in a work that's ongoing, and especially don't edit it. Don't fuss over it. Keep writing. You've got something to write. You've got a job to finish before you go on to that earlier stuff. Entirely right advice. I will leave a link to 58 Keys. You should all go and subscribe. His videos are great for writing, and when you subscribe to 58 Keys, you get all sorts of other things too. He has a script club where he goes over scripts. That's endless fun. And also, we can go to BookTube specifically, to BookTube itself, and I'll leave links to these things. And, of course, talk about Christopher Russell, the cartoon hedgehog of our little corner of BookTube, who is traveling and recently read A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, and talks about it in a video. It's really, really good. It's every bit as good as I was hoping it would be. He comes to the conclusion that a lot of people I know come to, which is, yeah, that was an experience. Never going to repeat it. Never going to read this book again. I'll be interested to see in 35 years how many of those people stick to that or are drawn back to it. But in addition to the terrific video about the book, he also imitates the cover, and everybody that I know has commented that he looks just like the guy on the cover. So that's well worth your time to watch. And then what else? No need to talk about earworms, because my earworm from music is The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot, and will remain so, I imagine, until further notice. So I've tried to dislodge it. It's not going anywhere. But what about eyeworms? What about stuff that I'm currently watching and rewatching and obsessing about? There are two things. There are usually two. There are two things. One is Nuremberg. I have a screener. For those of you who are new to this channel, I have a friend who works in Hollywood. She sends me screeners of all kinds of things. And she sent me a bunch of screeners that I haven't got to yet. But she sent me a screener for Nuremberg, which is the new Russell Crowe movie, in which he plays Hermann Goering on trial at Nuremberg, a role that was previously held by Brian Cox, famous for Succession, in the TV miniseries Nuremberg, starring Alec Baldwin. And he did a really good job. But I love Russell Crowe. I think whether it's his team or his instincts or maybe a friend, he almost never picks a bad project. It's almost guaranteed that if he's in it, it's going to be good, which is rare. That doesn't usually happen. And he plays Goering, and that is the reason that I have been watching this thing, and I have been trying. The premise, the conceit of the show is that he is confronted with an army psychologist who wants to examine him, get inside his head. And that shrink is played by Rami Malek, who I know is a big fan favorite from, a whole bunch of things, Mr. Robot and whatnot. I have never seen the appeal of this 7-pack-a-day tobacco addict. I have never seen, he's a guild-level navigator tobacco addict, and I've never seen the appeal. He just doesn't seem very good at acting. He seems very wooden. He seems very quasi-embarrassed by the stuff that he's doing, regardless of what it is. Sometimes his performances end up being, as a consequence, embarrassing. His highest profile of performance to date in a movie was embarrassing. But in this movie, in this show, he's not. I guess anybody, practically anybody, would look bad opposite Russell Crowe in a role that he can really sink his teeth into, and he does. So I've been watching that, and the other thing that's been obsessing me, maybe more than anything else, is something you will not expect. It is not a special effects extravaganza. It is a foreign language film. It's a foreign language film. It's Francois Ozon's adaptation of Albert Camus' The Stranger. It's in black and white. And it's very serious, and it's very faithful, and it's very beautiful, very beautifully shot. And it stars Benjamin Voisin, and you might say, well, he's in the lead role, and well, he's something to look at. I don't deny that. But that wouldn't be enough. For a pretentious, poncy French movie, that shouldn't be enough. And it isn't. It wasn't just him. I promise it wasn't just him. I have been watching that thing. I probably watched it 6 times. And it hasn't even debuted yet. It debuted in a couple of film festivals, I think, and did really well. Audiences loved it. It is really, really thoughtful. It shows you the power of Camus' book, which, keep in mind, would be perfect fodder for one of the aforementioned BookTube events, Shorty September. You could read The Stranger for Shorty September. But it shows you the power of that book. Weird kind of power that exists in so many signature short books. The Heart of Darkness, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it's amazing to me. And I've been watching that show over and over again. So those are my eye worms. Those are the two things that I've been watching, Nuremberg and The Stranger. How's that for a combo? And aside from that, there's just the ubiquitous old man reporting of the weather. We are having steady, cool weather. This week is going to warm up steadily, a little bit, day by day. The weekend in the distance, it will probably max out at 80 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. That is 30 degrees cooler than it's been in Boston at times this summer. So it feels prematurely autumnal out. So that's nice. No need to have the AC unit cranking away. No need to do anything like that. So we can wrap up with the weather. I am losing the light because it has been badly overcast all day. So there you go. That is an Irish stew type video. I will leave links to whatever is pertinent for links, and maybe we'll do this again. So I'll wrap this up and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.